Well, welcome back to the channel, my brothers, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time. In this video, I'm going to explain why body count matters so much for men. I'm going to use facts and statistics to back up my argument. So, stay tuned, let's start the video. So why is body count so important to men? And when I say body count, I'm talking about the body count that women rack up, sexual partners if you will. Why is it so important to men? Well, despite what women think about men, the reason it matters so much is because, well, we're not stupid. We know it is important. We have been able to use the internet for our advantage and look up a few facts and statistics. We know that the more men that women sleep with, the less likely she's going to be any good for a long-term relationship. And ultimately that's what men are looking for. You see, men's minds work different to women's. Not only are we conquerors, in other words, we want to sleep with a lot of women to pass on our genetic seed, we are also protectors. In other words, we want to know that that woman is cleaved to us alone. We're not sharing. And the likelihood of her stepping out, cheating if you will, is greater the more bodies that she has behind her. This is why men are so attracted to younger women, because we know statistically the less years that she's been on the planet, the less likely she has slept with a lot of men. Now, a survey that was done last year showed that the most desirable age for women was 22. Yes, specific age. It was early 20s, but then it was narrowed down to specific age of 22. We know that women come with a history. We are not expecting virgins, but there is another statistic out there that women who walk down the aisle a virgin have an 80% chance that that relationship will last, because the only person she's ever had any experience with is her husband after marriage. Whereas a woman who has more than 5 sexual partners has a 30% chance of her relationship lasting. That is a scary statistic when you take it with the fact that 70% of women file for divorce, and that the divorce rate is running roughly at 50%. That's the flick of a coin whether it's going to last. So we're not stupid. We can see all these things, put the jigsaw pieces together and see the whole picture, that the older a woman gets, the more likely she's going to have more sexual partners and the less attractive she is to us. Now, when I say attractive, I don't mean physically, I mean mentally, as in the less she's likely going to bond with us on a deep, meaningful, emotional level. She'll quite happily sleep with us, especially if you're in the top 25% of attractive males, you know, the 6 foot tall, which is only 15% of the population, 6 foot and above. 25% being those who are financially secure, those who have the looks, the chat, everything else, the thing that women all want. All women lust after that man, and a man will date down, and he'll date down just to sleep with a woman. A man will quite happily, if he's an 8 or a 9 or a 7, he will quite happily sleep with a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6 and a 7 himself and above. He will happily sleep with any of those. He might not want to be seen with them, but he'll happily go round and use them as a booty call, and the women will welcome him in. But the trouble is that those women welcoming this guy in find out that each time a relationship doesn't work, she comes away a little more damaged, a little less suited for a long-term relationship. And men are not stupid. We know that we can see all of this. So that statistic alone, a virgin going down the aisle to her wedding night, to her wedding day, sorry, and then her honeymoon as a virgin, has an 80% chance of her relationship working. That's a high percentage chance. That's the kind of chance that all men would like. You see, men value youth, they value fidelity, they value beauty, and they value the fact that women don't have high body counts. So the older a woman is above the legal age, which a lot of countries, if you add it out, it's around 18. I mean, in the UK it's 16, but you know, beyond that, it's a lot of other countries, it's 18, the legal age. So if you just give that woman just one sexual partner per year, up to the age of 30, she's already in double figures. She's already racked up enough bodies to worry a man, because it's above that 5 threshold. When I said a woman who has more than 5 sexual partners has a 30% chance of her relationship working. And relationships are short-lived nowadays. We live in a digital technology where everything's moving fast. Everything's moving at light speed. So you go to dating apps and it's bang, 1,001 images of women on there. And they are set up for women. They are set up for women to feel good about themselves with validation by men hitting on them all the time. Here's another statistic for you. Dating apps, Tinder for instance, but there are many of them. Women swipe right, in other words, accept only 5% of the time. So they will go through 100 images of men who are average or above average, looking for one of those guys in the 25%. If you saw my earlier video, when I talked about a guy doing a social experiment by seeing if he could just put up a picture of a really good looking man, shirtless, square jaw and all that, 6-pack, but then the bio was absolutely horrendous of all of the negatives in there, yet women were hitting on him all the time, literally saying, come round and sleep with me, come round and live with me. It just goes to show that all these women on these apps, they're swiping right only 5 times out of every 100, 5% of the time. Which shows you those apps are not set up for men. Well, they are set up for men. They're set up for men to look at the catalogue of average to stunning women. But they are really ran for the gratification of women, so they can feel validated with all the messages from her picture and bio. And even her bio can be quite toxic, saying, if you haven't got this, if you haven't got that, if you aren't coming with stacks of money to buy me things, don't even bother answering. And yet they're only swiping right 5% of the time. So these statistics all show you that men are not stupid. We realise what's going on, and this is why more and more men are walking away from the whole fiasco. It's a case of, we can see we're living in clown world, but that doesn't mean we have to be the clowns. We're quite happy to sit in the audience watching the clowns be clowns while shaking our head and going, that's what you are. The phrase is, not my circus, not my clowns. So men aren't stupid. We're not foolish enough to fall for this dichotomy that women deserve something from us. And more men are walking away from the whole shebang. Another frightening statistic is 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 are either virgins or haven't had sex in the last 12 months. You see, women are all picking the same men. They're sleeping with the 25% at the top, all of them, which all that does is not only adds more bodies to their body count, making them less desirable for the average man, but it also creates the fact that they become side chicks. They become the pump and dump. They become the pass around. They become the practice girl. And they don't even know they're doing it to themselves. Because all of them have this same mindset, that is, I will get with this top 25% guy and I will hook him in. Well, he hasn't been hooked yet. He's got a whole plethora in front of him, a whole smorgasbord of women throwing themselves at him. Why on earth would he pick you, even if you have a body count of 2 or 1 or none? Why would he pick you when he's got all of this talent out there that he can go and talent scout? You see, women don't start to see the good guys, not the nice guys. That's a whole different thing. And if you haven't seen my video on nice guys versus good guys, or vice versa, go and watch it. But this is why women don't see the good guys until they get older, until they're quite literally broken. They are sleeping, racking up the body counts and creating more mental damage to themselves, that when they get to the danger zone, that's 25 and above, and then hit the wall, which is roughly 30, then they've got 5 more years before they get into the geriatric pregnancy stage. And on that point, I had somebody comment to me saying, oh, what are you talking about, geriatric pregnancy? 35 is classed as the geriatric stage for all women. At no point in that statement and in the video I did before, when I mentioned that fact, did I say women can't get pregnant after 35. That would be a nonsense. It just means that it can sometimes be more difficult to get pregnant, more problems during pregnancy, and more miscarriages over that age in the geriatric pregnancy age. Not that they couldn't have pregnancies, not that they couldn't get pregnant, not that they didn't give live healthy births. That would be a nonsense. So to that commenter, if you see this video, you talk nonsense, you change the goalpost to try and win an argument you couldn't win. Anyway, I digress. So, as I said, they reach 35, they're into geriatric pregnancy. In this country, in the United Kingdom, it's the first marriage, in other words, being married for the first time, for women. The average age is 31. Do you think that woman is going to come to that marriage bed with more than 5 sexual partners? I don't think so. She's already in double figures. If she just had the one every year, which most women have more than one, although they tend to downplay their sexual partners. And this is another, again, absolute opposite with men and women. Men will up their body count because they know it makes them look better. Women will downplay their body count because they know the higher body count makes them look worse. Even the women themselves know the score. Why it's so important to men. They know they're a little bit more broken. And the reason this is because each sexual partner she has, she starts narrowing down her looking for the ideal partner. So if she sleeps with a guy who's very tall, all of a sudden that becomes her preference. She never got with him and stayed with him, but she enjoyed being with him while she was. So she goes, he was tall. My next one, I want to be tall. If she's with somebody who's got an enormous todger, and it brings her a great deal of pleasure, that gets into her list of what she wants. If she gets with somebody who has good wealth, who is either wealthy through birth or has made a great deal of money, and that doesn't work out, so again she becomes a little bit more emotionally damaged because it didn't work out, but that then goes onto her preference list. So now she's looking for a 6 foot tall guy with a enormous appendage, and is wealthy. She's narrowed down her search to somebody who probably doesn't exist, or if he does, he wants nothing to do with her because every woman's chasing him. Do you see what I mean? They create the problems for themselves and then make TikToks and Instagram posts and such like, complaining that there are no good guys out there. Well, I'll tell you where the good guys are, girls, if ever you wanted to watch this. They're in your friend zone. But if they've got anything about themselves, they're not in your friend zone. They moved on, they got out. They saw what you were trying to do, use them as a backup plan, and got out. Like I said, men are not stupid. We have got a very rational brain. We want so little out of life, and you're still refusing to provide that. So many women now are bringing less and less to the table and are expecting more and more. They are not bringing their virgin self to the table. They're not bringing the fact that they can do anything to support a man to the table. They're not bringing fidelity to the table. They're not bringing the fact that they can perform tasks that would help a man. or support him to the table. All they're doing is bringing their body to the table, and their body is used up. And men are going, it's not good enough. You need to do better. You're not prepared to do better, so I want nothing to do with you. The only thing I want from you is exactly what you're offering, your body. I don't want to be with you long term. I don't want to have to put up with your drama. I don't want to have to put up with your whinging on a day-to-day basis, but I will sleep with you. So I'll contact you. I will say, what are you doing tonight? You don't like that because you know all I'm after is your body, but that's all you're offering. Men are not stupid. And that's the ones that you can entice to have anything to do with you. Anyway, do you agree with me? If you haven't already subscribed to this video, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you don't miss out on future content. I'm going to go for a cup of tea because I think I've deserved one. No, that's wrong. I think I've earned one. Nobody deserves anything. And that's something else. Women seem to think they deserve that 25% guy. Well, yes, they deserve them to be slept with. And women tend to then mistake the emotional with the physical. Quite literally, they turn round to themselves and say, because I'm sleeping with this guy, I have a relationship with him and he has feelings for me. Well, he does. He has feelings with you right to the moment that he empties his balls. After that moment, he has no feelings for you, ladies. And for the simple reason it's called post-ejaculate clarity. A man thinks far more clearly when the chamber's empty, after he's got rid of the load. It just happens that he's using you to get rid of the load, and then he thinks clearly and he's like, yeah, I want something to eat, leave your place and go and have a nice sleep. Thank you very much. Pat on the head. She becomes a little more broken because she thought she had feelings for this guy. She thought it was more than just physical, because men and women do behave differently towards the sexual act. Women get a lot of endorphins and oxytocin released in their brain, which is that pairing, bonding, love drug that the brain produces so that they can pair with a man. But the more sexual partners she has, the less of that oxytocin is produced, and the less likely she is to bond with her prospective lover. This is why the virgin is 80% likely to have a successful marriage, because she pair bonded with her first partner. Whereas the woman who has more than 5 partners has only got a 30% chance of her relationship working, because she didn't pair with any of the 5 before the guy that she finally settled down with. 30%, a third, 1 in 3 of it being, well, actually less than 1 in 3, almost 1 in 4 that are going to actually succeed long term. That's not good odds. 50% divorce rate, that's terrible odds. That's a flick of a coin. And then 70% of divorces are instigated by women. Men are going, I'm sorry, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to work with those odds, any of those odds. They're not good for me. So if you tell me you've got a body count of 20, you're 20 times more damaged than if you had a body count of 1 or none or 3. You now have higher mental damage. And here's another statistic. It did sound like I was going to finish the video back there, but here's another statistic. That by the time a woman reaches her 40th birthday, which isn't old in today's age, in fact it's not even really middle-aged in a lot of women, but by the time she reaches 40, 1 in 4 of those women is going to be on some sort of medication for mental health issues. This is why women need to start regulating themselves again, need to start realising that men are not going to engage in your nonsense. We'll sit in the audience and we'll watch the clowns perform, but we are not going to put makeup on, a fuzzy whiz, big shoes and a hoink hoink nose and become one of your clowns. Not our circus, not our clowns. Anyway, if you agree with me, leave it in the comments down below. If you disagree with me, leave it in the comments below. I really enjoy reading your comments, my brothers. I don't necessarily answer them all, but I promise you, I read every single one of them. Also, give the video a like, because the video likes. It helps the channel, as does your comments, and of course your subscription. If you've got something out of this video, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you won't miss out on future videos. Anyway, I'm going for a cup of tea because, as I said, I think I've earned one. You, my brothers out there, you take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.